Welcome to Optimal Health Weekly with your host, Steve Adams. This podcast is for highly driven professionals, CEOs, and entrepreneurs who know health is the first wealth. Join us each week for a mix of expert interviews and solo episodes on health topics relevant to your busy life. Let's elevate your health together.
Hi, this is Steve Adams, your host of the Optimal Health Podcast, and I just want to welcome you today. Listen, I've got an exciting 2-part podcast series for you that we're going to start today, and the theme is how can you become younger in the next year? Now, this podcast title is based off a book written of the same title back in 2005, and you can look it up on Amazon if you want to know more about it. But I love the book by Dr. Henry Lodge, who's an MD. He passed away in the last 5 years, but the book was an excellent resource on the possibilities of taking control of your health narrative. Okay, so in this first part, we're going to talk about how becoming a proactive investor in your health is really an autonomy strategy. Personal autonomy strategy. And then in the second podcast, we're going to talk about how you actually implement this. So let's start with a working definition of autonomy, okay? One of them, I've got two, is the ability to make choices over things we can control so that they do not control us. Let me say that again. Make choices over things we can control so they do not control us, okay? So we all know that problems grow when we ignore them, they get bigger. And so by being proactive about your health, the idea is you can get ahead of things before they grow so big of a problem that you lose control and you have to submit to a process that you may or may not like the options. So that's one definition of autonomy. Second definition is the capacity of an individual to make their own choices and decisions without external influences. Well, in our healthcare system, if you fail to proactively address your health risks, your ability to exercise choice diminishes. That's not a knock on the system, that's just a fact. So let's avoid this, okay? We've all been trained and conditioned to think about generational wealth planning, okay? Do an estate plan. Don't let your assets at death go into probate, where the state that you live will do those decisions for you, make those decisions for you. That's the ultimate in giving up autonomy regarding your finances and your assets. But what about the idea of generational health planning, okay? You know, there's a concept that a friend of mine shared that I really love, and he said that your kids and your grandchildren are going to inherit who and what you become as you age. Your kids and your grandchildren are going to inherit who and what you become as you age, okay? And so being proactive about your health is one of those things that your kids will inherit, okay? And we'll get into more of that later. But, you know, the idea here is, what kind of a legacy do you want to leave your kids? Do you want to become a burden for them for many years in terms of the care that you need, that they will have to deliver? Or do you want to be a model of someone who kept growing and learning and applying those things as it relates to their health, and they were proactive about their health? And so you enjoy a longer period of healthy living, of disease-free living, and more years where you are not that care burden to your children. And that's what they remember. And so that's the journey I've embraced the last 8-9 years of my life. And what's been fun to watch is that my kids have embraced this lifestyle as well. And now it is working its way down into how my grandson is being raised, and I believe future grandchildren. And so you can have that same thing. I love this quote by Hippocrates, who is kind of the father of modern medicine. He said that illnesses do not come upon us out of the blue. They are developed from small daily sins against nature. And when enough of these sins have accumulated, issues are going to suddenly appear. Most often, we all know that we don't suddenly fall ill. It's been a long, slow march of small daily assaults on your body that have led to illness. Now, what are some of those assaults? Well, number one is chronic unmanaged stress, which is simply a reality in our modern life. There's nothing we can do about that in terms of avoiding stress, but what we can do and what we teach at Tiger Medical Institute is you can learn how to mitigate stress on demand. So that's number one. Secondly is we allow a pattern of sleep deprivation to take over on our lives. We submit to a sweet tooth, which is really a habituated neural pathway, a reward pathway that we get addicted to. Excessive alcohol consumption. Living a sedentary lifestyle might be one of the worst. If you're retired, you have a full do-nothing retirement. You're operating without purpose, without vision, without goals, okay? Eating a lot of processed and fried foods and drinking a lot of soda drinks. And then just, the modern environmental assaults on our bodies in terms of the food system, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the things that we put onto our skin and our body, all of those things and smoking are daily assaults on our bodies that will show up eventually and the bill comes due in terms of your health. Let me share some statistics with you. 77% of adults suffer from moderate to severe stress, and 52% of working adults are in actual burnout. In some professions, that's as high as 80%. These are things that are daily assaults, daily sins. The CDC, in a study from 2019, said 6 in 10 American adults, which means over 100 million American adults, suffer from chronic disease. Chronic disease meaning cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or hypertension, high blood pressure. And 40% have 2 or more of those chronic disease, which means if you have a chronic disease, you've got a sickness that limits your freedoms, okay? And it is absolutely an indictment on the ability of our current medical system to prevent these types of diseases, okay? Again, it is not a knock on the good doctors and nurse practitioners and PAs and medical providers every day who get up and take care of us. It's the system, okay? So we need a different approach. Steve Adams here from Tiger Medical Institute. Do you ever feel like you're operating at less than 100%? It's time to take control of your health with the True Health Assessment by Tiger Medical. Get comprehensive blood screening to identify hidden health risks before it's too late. Our team of Mayo-trained and naturopathic physicians will analyze your results and provide a custom plan to optimize your well-being. Don't let underlying issues hold you back. Invest in your most valuable asset, your health. For the price of a daily chai latte from Starbucks, you can gain priceless insights and a roadmap to peak performance. Visit truehealthassessment.com, truehealthassessment.com today and unlock your full potential. Because when you feel your best, you can achieve your best. That's true health. All right, some more statistics. According to a National Institute of Health study, 25 to 30 million Americans are living with undiagnosed disease. So there's things lurking under the weeds, if you will. There's a underlying smoldering fire that up to 30 million American adults don't even know about in their bodies. Another research study indicated that up to 50% of premature deaths, and those are deaths where people die prior to the actuarial average of a male at about 76 years and a female, I think, at about 79 years in America die. So if you die before then, that's labeled a premature death. And up to half of them, I've seen studies that say up to 70%, are preventable. Okay. Preventable means that they're avoidable. So what that means is it's not your genetics, it's your choices, it's your lifestyle that matter. Okay. And in my company's experience, the last 5 years, we've worked with hundreds of people. And what we have found is that 8 in 10 that come to us are already in a pre-stage or an actual chronic disease. A high percentage of them are dealing with toxic burden. 80 to 90% have microbiome imbalances and leaky gut syndrome, and most have elevated inflammation and oxidative stress. And when all of those things are present, what that means is that most are aging at an accelerated rate, which means they are marching toward losing their personal autonomy prematurely, just like the statistics I shared with you earlier are suggesting. So, what is the quickest way for most of you who are listening to this to lose your personal autonomy? It's probably going to be your health. Most likely, it's not going to be your finances. It's not going to be who wins the election or some other reason. It's going to be over your health. All right. And so the question is at a time when the biggest threat to your personal autonomy is chronic disease, can you do something about this? Well, the resounding answer is yes. You can become functionally younger in the next year and actually for a few more years after that. Now, what do I mean by that? This is probably the most empowering and powerful thing you're going to learn today. All right. Advances in testing and medical approaches actually enable us to re-engineer our health and become younger at a cellular level in the next year. And if you stay with it for a few years after that. Now, you may recall in a podcast I did with Dr. McNamee, who is the co-chief medical director of Tiger Medical. He talked about the drivers of cellular health being things like your inflammation levels, your oxidative stress levels, the impact of environmental toxins on your body, the microbiome health in your body, and just the daily lifestyle choices that you're making. These are all things that drive health at a cellular level. And all 5 of those pillars that I just shared, every single one of them, you can proactively test to see where you are with them, and you can implement changes in how you live on a day-to-day basis and potentially need some treatment for a short period of time. And you can rewrite the script and the narrative on all 5 of those drivers and actually make the health of your cells better. And when you do that, you can slow the aging process down. That's what I mean by becoming functionally younger in the next year. There is a really great quote by the head of technology at Google, Ray Kurzweil, who has been making technology predictions for 30 years. He's got a record that is unbelievably good. Something like 75% of his predictions have come true. And his latest one is that right now, for every year that you live as a Westerner, you get back about 6 weeks of longevity based on medical advances. Okay, so doesn't really help you. Every year you're getting older, and maybe when you move from 60 to 61, you get back 6 weeks. What he's saying is that with the introduction of advanced artificial intelligence and what that's doing to speed up medical advances, his prediction is that by 2029 to 2035, so let's just take 2035, 11 years from now, basically, each year that you live after 2035, you're going to get back a whole year of longevity. Meaning, for every year that you live, your risk of death from living an additional year does not go up. He calls that longevity escape velocity. So it doesn't mean that you can't get in a traffic accident or go down in a plane or get a rare disease. But all he's saying is that the old rules of every year you get older, you have a higher risk of death, those rules will go away. And so the exciting possibility, therefore, is that if you can live another 10 years, you're probably going to benefit from some crazy good longevity enhancing technologies that potentially could give you years and years of good health to enjoy your spouse, your grandchildren, your children, pursue a vision and a cause that you love for a little bit longer. And I think all of us would agree that if we can be healthy, we would welcome those additional years. We don't want to welcome additional years if we're going to be sick and bedridden. So, you can do things today to improve the odds that you'll be around when those things happen. Okay. And so that's the exciting possibility of what's coming down the pike. And, and that's why I'm challenging you to that. Okay. And so the mindset that you have to take on then is you have to become patient number one in your own life. Okay. One of the mistakes I made in my life being young and ambitious is that I had a vision and a goal and I pursued it and I made sure that everything and everyone around me were good. I did not take care of myself. I figured I would do that later and I paid a heavy price for it. The only good thing that came out of that is that Tiger Medical came into the being because of how my health was restored by a brilliant physician who approaches things the way I'm talking about in this podcast. And so, I want you to have the same thing. And so that's the end of part one. And the next part, I'm going to talk about the how behind becoming functionally younger in the next year. So stay tuned, come back and listen to episode 2, part 2 of how to become functionally younger in the next year. Thank you. Steve Adams here from Tiger Medical Institute talking about the True Health Assessment. What if you could safeguard not just your health, but the well-being of your entire family? With the True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical, you can. Our comprehensive blood screening identifies hidden risks before they become major issues. Our elite team of Mayo Clinic trained and naturopathic physicians then create a customized plan to optimize your health for years to come. When you prioritize your wellness, you ensure you can be fully present for the people you love most. Don't let preventable issues cut that time short. For less than the cost of a daily latte, you can gain peace of mind and a clear path to sustained vitality. Protect your future and your family's future with True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical at thetruehealthassessment.com. Again, that's at thetruehealthassessment.com.